Hi everybody, I'm Blue Nagoon, and today I'm talking about my favorite synthpop and vocal retrowave songs that came out in July and August of 2022. I hope that you'll find something new that you like in this list and that you'll support the artists. I'm going to try something new with this one. I'm going to put a little snippet of the song before I talk about it, and hopefully it'll whet your appetite and you'll go listen to the full song somewhere.
Can we stop trying to pretend that I'm not another means to ends? You can't fix what won't bend. My Fairweather friend.
Alright, my first track today is by Everdeen. It's called Fairweather Friend. This one, when it started out, it's got this really sweet synth arp going, and then these big, the drums come in with that big boomy pop drum sound that I love. And then it breaks down, and a really great vocalist starts, female vocalist even. And I'm just sitting here thinking, oh, well, it was quite kind of them to make a song for me personally. The song has lots of sparkling, moving synth parts washed out into a big, lush texture. Lead vocalist sounds great. She's got like a really cool inflection. I love the build into the chorus and the chorus melody when it hits. There's some really cool guitar parts later in the song. I do feel like the song probably could have one extra gear. Like I think energy-wise it kind of reaches its peak at the first chorus, but I mean that's a tiny complaint. It's a great song. Next up is Sweet Tempest with the song Maybe How. I love the dark driving feel of this one. The lead vocals have a really compelling like edge of breakup quality to them. There's a really interesting bridge in this song, like a change up and then a build up, which I really appreciate, although this is one of the rare cases where I think I enjoy the rest of the song a little more. There's some really sweet vocal harmonies in this song, and I appreciate that the dude singer comes in, throws in the cool harmonies, and then gets out of the way again.
Seamlessly falling, hear you retreat, framing these portraits, breathing sleep.
Next up is Matt Black with Midnight and Angel. This is dark synthpop, very a la Depeche Mode. It's got the big 1991 snare drum sound. It's got some really creative synth sound design. The opening Phrygian like pluck riff is really cool. There's a neat round bass sound in there. There's some slightly off-key lead bits after the chorus. There's some detuned piano sound like under the climax of the song. I like how the vocalist ends the verse with the line, "I wish I'd never met you," like he's kind of giving up, and you would maybe expect the song to sag in energy there, but instead it goes the opposite direction. It's almost like he said this and it's released the demons or something, and the song just blooms at that point. It's a really cool contrast. And the song overall just has a really satisfying build-up throughout.
I scan the side streets for signs of you. Can't leave it alone to think that you were right.
Next up is Color Theory's song The Trick of the Light. This one is such a vibe. The melodies in it are so haunting. And this is just a really satisfying example of songwriting where you have a lyrical concept. It's a very relatable lyrical concept. I think we've all gone through something like this in our lives. But the lyrics and the music is perfectly tuned to support the lyrics, and they just work together really well. The song's a really good set piece for Color Theory's voice. He's singing kind of low in the verse, and I think it really sells the emotion. And then, of course, the chorus, the transition to the chorus with that sweet synth arp that pans across and the vocal melody goes up, it just really lifts the song. And even though the arrangement is minimal, there are some really sweet synth sounds in here. There's like a cool pluck sound in the right ear in the chorus. And the main synth keyboard sound that you hear right off the top is just sublime. All right, if you know me at all, you know that I love mixing electric guitars with synthy music. The other night, I was having a bit of a crisis of faith when I was mixing my album, and I was thinking like, oh, I put too much guitar in this. And I even made this meme about it. But then I realized, heck with it, it's what I like. And if you too are a two-button synth and guitar type person, you might like Lover's Lake new album. This album is super slickly produced. Like they really honed in on a sound where they've got the guitars and the synths and the heavily compressed machine drums working together to just create this momentum and this wall of sound, and then over the top is this light, airy vocalist. If you're a fan of pop guitar at all, it's really fun to play like Spot the Influence. Like, oh, that's the 1975 super compressed, clean tone. Oh, that's the Edge, like, dotted eighth note delay tone. There's all kinds of different guitar tones on the album. The one thing I'll say is that these songs are amazing in small doses. Like if I'm listening to a playlist on shuffle and one of them comes up, I'm just all about it. It's like, this is great. But when I try to listen to the album front to back, it loses me after a few tracks. And I think it's just that there's not a ton of variation. Like I said, the sound that they've developed is very finely tuned, but it's a little bit relentless. And, it never really changes dynamic level much. The vocalist kind of always has the same type of performance. It's a good performance, but it doesn't really change much. There's even some songs where they like overlap the vocal lines as if they're afraid that if they let the energy level sag for even a second, the spell will break or something. But yeah, it's just a little relentless and maybe harder to take in bigger doses, but a song or two at a time, fantastic. Next up is the song Red Light by Fatal Aim. This is like dark, punchy synth pop. It's got solid drums, great vocals. The bass is probably the centerpiece. I mean, just a killer electric bass performance and production. It's just so fat in your face. I really like when the chorus hits in the song. It just blooms with the background vocals and the synth line that comes in. Just really cool song. Next up is a song called Alone Tonight by BT84 and Firebrand vocals. They actually have a whole album that came out last month, but to me this was the standout track on the album. This has very strong male vocals in like a classic 80s like melodic style. So many male vocalists in retrowave genres want to be like Bauhaus or early Robert Smith or something, and it's really great to hear someone that's going for like the melodic power vocal. Admittedly, it's a lot harder to pull off than the other stuff, but Firebrand does. The synth lines in the song are well composed. It's really cool that you'll have like a little bell that comes down here and then a lead that swells up here, and there's just always kind of stuff coming in and out and changing. The song does the classic like alternating loud, soft, dynamic thing really well. Some of the extra layers that come in later are really cool. There's some needlies on the guitar. And of course, as the waves of intensity go up and down, Firebrand vocals is just like writing them to perfection with vocal ad-libs and theatrics. Next up is the song Stereo by Dawn to Dawn. This is a breezy, weightless, atmospheric pop song. There's like a dancey 909 kind of drum beat that anchors everything, but on top there's really pretty vocals and synths just floating around. I'm a sucker for like 1/6 or 6/4 changes, and this has a lot of those. There's some sweet vocal hooks. It feels like sometimes the narrator, gives up on trying to convey the emotion through words and just kind of shifts to ahs and stuff. I especially love it at the end. There's like these ah bits and sparkly synth arps working together. Just the song really goes out on a high note. Next up is a song that's really approaching guilty pleasure for me. It's All the Way by Prism. And I almost debated leaving it off the list. I kept coming back to it. It's just so much fun. There's like the big double time beat. There's some sweet guitar parts that come in and give it a little boost when it's needed. I love the say vocal echo in the chorus. It's just so great. I like the vocals trading off. The breakdown and the key change are like ultra cheesy. Like they really bent those chords over backwards to make that happen. And it's almost too much. And this is coming from somebody who freaking loves cheesy key changes. The only downer for me in the song is the saxophone. And I've mentioned this a couple times in these roundups, but I'm just kind of getting weary of the sax. Like it's starting to feel like, oh, we need 80s nostalgia. Just boom, press the sax button. Here it is, wah, in your face. And I don't know, it's just, for me, it's becoming kind of a turnoff. Fortunately, I mean, the rest of the song is so much fun that I can't help coming back to it, even with the saxophone. Next up is Ride by the Lightning Kids. I'm really excited. They have an album coming out later this month that I can't wait to hear based on this single. This is really pretty, lush, melancholic synth pop with an interesting arrangement. I love the contrast between the more kind of mono verse melody and the melodies in the rest of the song. I really like the lead singer's voice, and I like the little bit of ad-libs toward the end that she throws in. She doesn't like cut totally loose, but it's enough to add some really nice energy there. For a moment, I wasn't sure I could include this on the list because it has acoustic guitar in it, but it's a cool texture, and it definitely is still a synth pop song through and through. Toward the end of the song, when the lead guitar and the vocal layers are intertwining, I get pretty strong like 80s Fleetwood Mac vibes, which is an element of 80s pop that you don't see mined quite as often as some of the others. But yeah, this is just a fantastic, lush song. Definitely check it out.
Take one look and you will see I'm drowning in sweet tea. I'm a sucker for your love.
Next up is the song Sucker for Your Love by NEONshe. I actually just discovered this song like day before yesterday on Chris Watts' In the Moog Show, and I've been binging it ever since. It's just a super ambitious pop song. I love to hear artists that just go for it like this. There's so many changing sections and intricate and varied arrangement, cool chord progressions and structure. There's just so much going on. It really takes kind of a couple listens to process it all. The key change bridge that happens like 2/3 of the way through just makes me giddy every time it hits, and that's just the first key change. There are multiple in the song. I'm not sure how a whole album of songs like this would feel. It might get kind of exhausting, but for these 3 minutes, it's absolutely exhilarating. All right, everyone, that's my list for these couple months. I hope you find something that you like. To that end, there are playlists below both for Bandcamp and Spotify, so you can check out the artists. I hope you'll follow them and buy music and all that kind of stuff. Shameless plug, I make synthpop of my own, and I'll put a little snippet of it at the end of this video so you can check it out if you like. But yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good one.